All right, happy Wednesday night, everybody. We are glad to be with you, hanging out here in Raiderland. Texas Tech and TCU underway. The Red Raiders up 23 to 19, 7:18 to go in the game. We'll have live updates as we go through. Not violating the Learfield agreement. No, not that live, but get your thoughts on the game so far. No D will. We've got What If Wednesday, the non-sports question tonight. What if it's the Buddy Holly question? What if the plane doesn't crash? How different is rock and roll? How different is Lubbock? We'll get your thoughts on that. Super Bowl hype. We asked this last night. Top four locations the Super Bowl should just rotate around. That forget going to all these other places. The top four places that it should be. You tell me tonight. Anything else that's on your mind? And then we got some Texas Tech football news. It looks like James Blanchard, your GM, your capologist, your recruiting director, is being wooed hard and heavy by Notre Dame, according to multiple sources today, and that he may be leaving Texas Tech. To which I say, you always want somebody that everybody else wants, and that's how good Blanchard is. And there are some Tech fans who are probably like, oh, whatever, No, he's that good. All right, let's do it in three, in two. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, TheRaiderland.com, the website. You start your day there. Raiderland hot links, cool stuff from around the web. Our always, we got your daily topics that you can weigh in on. Today is What If Wednesday, sometimes sports, sometimes not. We do an alt history question. Tonight is, what if the plane didn't crash? What if Buddy Holly lived? Would be a ripe old age. 85, 90 years old, Buddy Holly. How different would rock and roll be? That's the question tonight on What If. And I know we're going live up against Tech TCU basketball. I apologize, but hey, we got to go sometime, so this is our slot. Getters Bayou, you could be there right now watching the game. They got the sound on. They got hot Cajun food. They got cold drinks. 98th and Slide Road. They're a place to hang out. Daily lunch specials, highly underrated daily lunch specials. Whether you are into the po' boy sandwiches, a little fried shrimp po' boy sandwich, maybe a little Cajun pasta. Maybe you just want some jambalaya. Whatever. You call them up. Say, hey, I'm coming in. I want the Ryan Hyatt special. And after they quit giggling, you'll be taken care of. McAlpin Chiropractic. That's right, the official chiropractor of Raiderland. Kevin Mack, not a quack. Backs out of whack. Call Kevin Mack. All right, not his slogan. That would be illegal. But hey, he's a great West Texan. He's worked with Texas Tech high-level track and field athletes for decades. I figure if people like Kitley think he's good enough to work around his athletes, he might be good enough for you. In all the communication tonight, brought to you by United Supermarkets in Market Street. Wherever you may be in West Texas, they take care of Texas Tech. There's another store out here that takes your money and sends it down to Austin. James was first up tonight, giving us thumbs up, letting us know the audio is good, the video is good. Again, I know we are, one of those nights where, hey, you got to go on at some point. So we're going on now. We're cruising up towards halftime, 23-19. Texas Tech in front of TCU. You got 10 points out of JT Toppin tonight, 4 of 5 from the field in 12 minutes of action. Nobody with more than 5. That's Hawkins after that. The biggest story is probably D. Will out tonight, the ankle. Got to hold him out. Now, you have the luxury of doing that here at home tonight against a TCU team that's just not really very good. And I don't know if Tech will cover the spread tonight. I think they'll stretch it out in the second half as it goes along. Where are the Red Raiders shooting right now? Yeah, 50% of the field, 9-8. 3-point shooting, 3 of 11. Stop. Enough of the 3-point shooting, please. We've had enough of it. All right? You don't have to do any more of it. Go to the rim, get fouled, do everything else. So we'll keep up with that as we cruise towards halftime. You want to talk about Tech. Here's the biggest thing about where Tech is right now. HoopsHD.com, 26 in the nitty-gritty ranking. That's as good as it's been all year by far. Not locked in, but a solid 7 seed. So 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we're talking about this team outside the cut line. Now, when you reel off a bunch of victories, this is what you can do. We're going to go into February here in a few days. Yeah, one game after this. It's a big one against Houston. But you've got a chance if you're Texas Tech now to not just solidify being in the NCAA tournament field, but maybe, and I would never have said this 2 weeks ago, you might be able to play to a 4 seed. I don't know that they'll get there, but by gosh, you got a chance. And that's all you can ask for, really. I think in any given year, unless you're talking about a team that you think is going to win the Big 12 or going to win a national championship, you just say, give me to a 4 seed or better. It's negligible after that. Give me to a 4 seed or better, and life is good. Can Tech hang with Houston? The best Tech can. If Williams is out there, and maybe he will be, maybe he won't, that you can do that. If JT Toppin plays like JT Toppin can play, you can do that. If Hawkins is, not turning it over and distributing, you can do that. I mean, Tech has all the, not intangibles, they've got all the measurables to go out and play with a team like Houston. I have no doubt about it. But you got to play really good. There's nothing about Tech roster construction or anything else that says you can't do it. Now, you got to get past tonight. 28-19 now. Tech stretching that out over TCU. 5:47 TCU taking a timeout. Or did Jamie Dixon just run out onto the court and foul somebody? We don't know. So we've got all that tonight. The what if Wednesday, what if the plane didn't crash, Buddy Holly? All right, here's the question I would say to you. How different is rock and roll, first off, if Buddy Holly is alive, living, and rocking and rolling in 1960 and 1961? How different are the Beatles, the Rolling Stones? Is Buddy Holly the vanguard going into the decade of the 60s, if he's still around, creating the sound, and what sound was he going to create? True Love Ways, other things, highly orchestrated, very different from what we would see for another 10 years before you'd almost get back to that. There are a lot of people that say Buddy Holly, the producer, would have been the biggest influence on rock and roll and music in the 60s versus Buddy Holly, the musician. How different is Lubbock? If Buddy Holly's around and he's got Norman Petty and he's got the studio over there in Clovis, do they just bring it on into Lubbock? Does Lubbock become like a Nashville type aspect of recording music? How different is the landscape if that plane doesn't go down in a cornfield in Iowa? James, Gary Busey would be famous or would not be. Wouldn't be famous. The Buddy Holly story, such a horrible movie. And they premiered it in England, in London, in Lubbock, and everybody, the opening scenes and, the establishing shots, and there are the rolling hills with the beautiful trees of Lubbock, Texas. Really? Why? What are we doing here? They need to do that movie again, but here's the sad fact. Nobody cares about Buddy Holly anymore because I don't remember him for the most part. So how different would it have been? Chris, I would hope we would have heard less from Maria Elena. Probably not. Might have heard more. She might have had a huge restaurant here. Buddy Holly's. How different would it have been? It would have reshaped, I think, the early part of the 1960s in music, 100%. And where it would have gone would have been fascinating, but it totally reshapes, I think, 58 to 62, 63. And it reshapes the Beatles, which reshapes the British invasion, which reshapes rock and roll. Word a minute. They forgot about Dre before they forgot about Holly. That could be a basketball quote. or a rock and roll club. Interesting there. 28-24, 4:08 left in the first half. Texas Tech over TCU. Glad you're with us tonight. We're going to stay on too late. We just wanted to have a presence, wanted to make our presence known. Get your basketball thoughts. I think Tech's going to be fine tonight. I know it's a 4-point game. They're going to be fine. What do we got tonight? Still 10 with Hawkins. With Top, and Hawkins with 5 so far, 2 of 3 from the field. Tech now 4 of 13 3-point shooting. So you're 52% from the field, 11-21, yet you're 4 of 13. What does that tell you, boys and girls, about where you should be taking your shots? What does that tell us? Just the quick math on what's going in and what's not going in. Get to the freaking paint. What's the paint numbers? I'm not even able to watch this completely in real time right now. What's my paint numbers? 14-10. Okay, that's good. You got 14 in the paint. That's good. We go here, 14-10. Bench points, 13-5. Second chance, 2 of 2. Off turnovers, 7-6 them. And total rebounds are 12-10. So 31% 3-point shooting. 4 of 13. Who are the offenders tonight? McMillan, 1 of 3. 1 of 5 for Cadillac Anderson. Dang it, son. 13 minutes of play. Quit jacking it up. Quit reading what the AJ's writing about you. Chris, could have seen some fun collaborations with the Beatles and Buddy and Elvis and Buddy and Buddy and Elvis and Buddy and Elvis. And yeah. Okay, so yeah, that would have been really interesting too, right? So Elvis goes into the army, Buddy's still alive. Elvis comes back. He's starting making movies. Does Buddy make movies? I don't think so. I don't see Buddy making movies. The Beatles become really interesting, the big question, because after Buddy Holly's death, there is a massive void in rock and roll early on. And we all know, the Silver Beatles and the tribute and the Crickets and everything else. We get that. We understand that. But if Buddy Holly is still way up here, I mean, like way up here, all right, and the Beatles are kind of here, how does that suppressor change what they do? I think that's the biggest link in rock and roll history early on is you take away Buddy Holly, the Beatles fill that void. If Buddy Holly is there, and who knows what else Buddy Holly is spinning off by 1960, 61 or anything else. We don't know. I mean, who is he, identified and bringing along and, going out on tour with? We don't know what that would have looked like. Does Waylon Jennings go more rock and roll than country if that plane doesn't go down? And that Waylon Jennings hangs around Buddy and, it's turning out pretty good. We got a good gig going on here. And maybe Waylon goes a little bit more towards the rock side than the country side. We don't know. Alan, Tech always plays against an extra TCU player. It just happens to be the player coach. Yes, Jamie Dixon, put a uniform on if you want to be on the sidelines that much. I would absolutely, if I were a Big 12 basketball coach, and this is why I'm not allowed to coach. I think I said this before. I would 100% take my last guy off the bench and say, son, you are about to earn your letter jacket and anything else you want, and we're going to have a huge NIL deal for you because we can do this now. And you're going to do one thing. You're going to sprint full speed down the sideline in front of the TCU bench, and you are going to take out Jamie Dixon, and you are going to wreck him. Go low. Take the knee. Swipe the knee. And we'll never have to deal with that again. Now, that's why I'm not a coach, because I would absolutely order that. And if one of my young players looked at me and said, Coach, I can't do that, I say, fine, get up, go. Next one. Who wants to do it? Swipe the leg. Sweep the leg. Why can't we do that? A decent society would police itself against that. Whalen said Buddy would have had his own label and produced music if he lived. Yeah, I think that's where it was heading. And there are a lot of people that believe that Buddy Holly, the producer, and if you go to the last recordings, the orchestration, True Love Ways, and other things, as I said earlier, that really was where they thought the impact might be. And we don't see that until maybe 10 years later with the Beatles and some orchestration that they begin to do, and the layers and the sounds and everything. Beach Boys a little bit. You don't see that for another 10 years after Buddy's death. And that's why I say Norman Petty Studios, Clovis, Lubbock, Texas, recording area. Who knows if all of a sudden Lubbock doesn't become like the mecca of early rock and roll recordings. That you got Sun Records there, but that Buddy Holly brings it here. You don't know. Whalen blamed himself for years for that plane crash. Yeah, yes, no. I mean, there's the great song by the way. I think you already know, which is the song I don't think you already know. You know the line about I hope your dang old bus, Peter goes out, blah blah blah. Well, I hope your dang old plane crashes. That Whalen gives up his seat on the plane, and everything else. Yep. And he had to deal with that. Whalen had to deal with that, and he didn't deal with it very good, ever. But he had to live with that. James says that would be a tech on Dixon, correct? That should be. If he's out on the floor and a player runs into him. 30-27 tech TCU 2:16 to go. TCU now 43% from the field on 10 of 23 shooting, 3 of 5 on a long range. And Tech now 4 of 14, 29%. 4 of 14. You've taken 14 3-point shots in the first half, yet you're shooting 52% from the field because you're 12 of 23, but you're 4 of 14. Now, 4 of 15 now. Quit shooting the freaking threes. It's not that hard. Michael, if the plane didn't crash, might have been the Dallas Cowboys owner instead of Jerry. We could have prayed, Well, let's see. So that would have put Buddy in the late 80s taking over after Bumper. It probably didn't happen. A lot of ifs. A lot of ifs with that plane crash. Richie Valens, the Big Bopper, seemed to be on the brink of big time fame too. Yeah. You had Richie Valens, you had the Big Bopper. You had obviously 3 people that had changed. Buddy would have made the Beatles listenable. Beatles White Album, produced by Buddy Holly. Recorded not at Abbey Road Studios, but in Lubbock, Texas. Let's see. Robert says, "Bye bye, American Pie." Yeah. So does Don McLean. Does he become famous by writing American Pie? Well, no, because then there's no song to write about, and what does he do? We're talking about What If Wednesday. What if the plane didn't crash? What if Buddy Holly had lived? We're talking Tech basketball, real time. Minute 30 left. Tech up 32-27 over TCU. Super Bowl hype, rotated among 4 stadiums. Where would you rotate it? And then whatever else is on your mind. We'll probably talk more tomorrow about this James Blanchard story. It sure looks like there's a lot of wind in the wire that you're going to lose your recruiting coordinator, cap manager, whatever you want to call it, to Notre Dame. To Notre Dame. Hi there, Tech fans. It took Notre Dame, apparently, to get your guy. We'll probably do more on that because I think a lot of people still maybe are a little, not behind the curve, but just the news cycle and everything else. And we've got the game going on and, whatever. Is Whalen a highwayman if there is no plane crash? So what's the Whalen? We were talking about this earlier. What's the Whalen track if Buddy lives? Does he go more rock and roll? Does he go the route he ends up going? Where does because that probably means I don't know, that Whalen's probably associated with Buddy for maybe another 3 or 4 or 5 years before Whalen maybe wants to go out on his own. Who knows? Hard to say. But where does Whalen's sound go with Buddy Holly? Because without Buddy Holly, now it's all of a sudden Whalen's sound. And he's got to figure it out. It took half a decade or more, almost 10 years for Whalen really to figure out that sound. And he's out there in Arizona. Bobby Bear, they're playing out there in Phoenix. Where does that go? An entire sound disappeared that night. So, the Highwayman, well, how does that play out? How does Johnny Cash play out without Whalen? Not saying Whalen's dead. I'm saying, what if Whalen never really gets into that orbit? What does Johnny Cash sound like in the late 60s? Whalen starts the rockabilly movement. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that happens that way. I think we're more looking still at Buck Owens and that NorCal sound and everything else. Does Buddy even stay in Lubbock? I think he does. I think everything again, we're truncated at the point of that plane going down. But I think everything was indicating with Norman Petty and what was going on out here that I think Buddy Holly stays in Lubbock, stays in West Texas, the recording studio, everything else. I think he maintains that here. So again, what does that do for Lubbock? How different is Lubbock from a music capital into the 60s? Are the Beatles coming to Lubbock? Well, it's not outrageous to say that. It's truly not. It is not outrageous to say that if Buddy Holly is alive in 1965, that the Beatles are coming to Lubbock or Clovis. Again, Norman Petty Studios and everything else. That everything I think indicated that was where he wanted to kind of make things happen. We'll never know. Now, we have reached halftime. Good grief. 32-29, Texas Tech over TCU. Tech 50% from the field, 13-26. Imagine if they hadn't gone 4 of 16 from three-point shooting tonight. 1 of 6. Somebody tackle Anderson. Somebody tackle that young man. 1 of 6 long range. Stop it. All right, that's the end of that. Here's my analysis. Get a hold of that and you go in by 10 points. Good grief. A few more minutes left. Super Bowl hype, top 4 stadiums that you think the Super Bowl should rotate through. Every day we are required by law to do Super Bowl hype questions. Here they are, by the way. The Rose Bowl. I know we hate the old Pac-12 and everything else. The Rose Bowl holding up the college football. No, the Rose Bowl is still beautiful. And the Rose Bowl game needs to kick off, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon out there. We want the stunning visuals of the daytime game transitioning in tonight with the San Gabriel Mountains behind us. We want that. New Orleans, you get it one. Miami, outdoors, always. Again, start me off a little bit earlier in the day. Give me some color. Give me some. It doesn't have to be completely at night. And then we rotate it around. The last one is the +1, right? You go to the dome stadiums, you do some stuff. Those are the ones I want. Let's see, Chris, Vegas, Miami, New Orleans, Rose Bowl. There you go. Vegas, baby. Timbo, I agree on the quick threes, feed Toppin. Yeah, what was Toppin in the first half? 10. He had 10. He had 10 with about 10 minutes to go, 18 minutes in the first half. 4 of 5 from the field. So let's look at this. You got a guy going 4 of 5, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 5 rebounds for Overton, by the way, leading you so far. But a guy going 4 of 5, 10 points. Meanwhile, you're 4 of 16 long with a freshman going 1 of 6, McMillan going 1 of 4. Ah, jeez. I just wasn't cut out for this kind of basketball. Hate it. Miami, if it's the old Joe Robbie. How about the old, just the freaking Orange Bowl, right? Wish we could bring that back. I remember the first time I was really out there in Miami and we drove by the Orange Bowl, and you're going through and you're going, my God, this is in a horrible part of town. It's just out in the middle of nowhere back in the day. I mean, this is in the 90s. And you're going, oh, Lord, I don't think we're going to want to go out there. It's not a good thing. Hold on, I got a text message here. I need to read this, you know. Yeah, I agree with the texter. All right, we're going to wrap it up. You guys were awesome tonight. I know we're in the middle of a game. I get it. I understand there's no good time to go. We want to thank Gators Bayou. You probably got some friends probably watching the game up there right now tonight. 98th and Slide in Lubbock, Texas. Hot Cajun food, cold drinks, all the games on all the time. And, of course, McAlpin Chiropractic. I want you to do one thing tonight. Share this with your friends. Invite them in tomorrow. Hey, yeah, we're back tomorrow. 100% overrated, underrated, rated right. Thursday, normal time, 6:30. We'll have our column there on the website, theraiderland.com. But grow this, invite your friends, tell them to be a part of everything we do here in Raiderland. I got to hit a couple of buttons to get out of here. I'm going to hit that one. That one. By the way, good job on the what if question tonight on Buddy Holly. You guys are good. We'll see you tomorrow in the morning, theraiderland.com.